Hey there. Well, I just got a new knife and it's really nice and I'm super pleased with it. It's a Schatt and Morgan camp knife. And this is the box it came in. Just let you take a look at that. And Schatt and Morgan was a old knife brand that Queen Cutlery Company resurrected. Queen Cutlery Company went out of business in January of 2018. That's too bad because they were one of the oldest operating American makers of pocket knives. They had been making their knives in the longest continuously operating knife factory in the U.S., a factory that Schatt and Morgan started in like 1903 or 1902, and Queen Cutlery bought Schatt and Morgan in 1933. So this knife was being made in that 100-plus-year-old building with that old equipment by hand by the Queen Cutlery people. Pretty cool. This one's from 2013, and it's model number 0342SK, and it says 1 of 400. So like I said, it's a camp knife, and you know I love camp knives. It just seems like every thing I collect is either like a Swiss Army knife or a vintage Boy Scout knife. So I just love that camp or scout or utility pattern. I just like a knife that does more than just cuts, that has other tools. And so this is what I got. I got one in Toasted Stag. And it's really, I just think, a beautiful knife. I'm just super pleased with it. The first thing I'm really so happy about is just the Stag itself. It's really well matched, and it's got a lot of character. Here's the front. As you can see, it not only looks very similar in character and color to the back, but the dimensions are really good side to side as well. Oftentimes with a Stag, you get a really thick side and really thin side, or some really big bumps or grooves or whatever, and that's all okay. But I just think in the hand that feels really good, and it's not so fat. I'm not a big fan of fat Stag. That's, your handle's thicker than the actual tools in the knife. So I'm really pleased with those. They fit them perfectly. Actually, the fit and finish of the whole knife is really quite nice. Here on the back, you can just see how tight the springs and the liners and the covers are. There really are no gaps to talk about. The bolsters are well fitted. And the shield lays in there well. The only rough spot on the knife, all the transitions are smooth and the pins are nicely set, but if you rub your hand over the shield and when you come back this way, you can catch a little bit of that Stag where it pokes up there. I don't know if I'm going to work that down or something. I don't want to mess up the look of the Stag. Nickel silver bolsters. They are both pinched and lined. It's a fancy little knife. Steel pins, which is different. And I think they're a little stronger than brass. I think that's a little bit of an upgrade there. There's your bail. Nothing too special about that. But the tools are very nice. We'll just start with the main blade. As you can see, it's got a, I didn't bring a rag to wipe it with, but first of all, it's got a very high polish. All the tools have a really high polish. So it's kind of a showy knife. There you can see a little blade rub I'm getting there. And that's not atypical in a camp knife. I mean, there's a lot to get in there. And typical. This one, I don't think it's actually rubbing anything when I close it. It's when I go to get the other tools out, I tend to push them into the blade, I think, and pull it up. Well, the knife was sold to me as mint, and it really was. I'm putting some handling marks on it, just playing around with it. But there you can see it has a Schatt and Morgan, kind of a frosted etch there. And has a long nail pull, swedge on the main blade here. Really nice spear blade. Great edges on it. And the knife is stamped all over, which is a nice touch. But here's the Schatt and Morgan logo. It's an S and an M, kind of in an X. And below it, I don't know if we can see this or not, but it says Titusville, PA. And on the back side, Queen Cutlery Company, Titusville, PA. So the action on the knife is really good. It's snappy. I'm really happy with it all the way around. Here's the can opener screwdriver. I'm sorry, cap lifter screwdriver. And again, a really nice high polish on that. And all the secondary tools are stamped as well. They're stamped Schatt and Morgan. Has a very interesting old style can opener. I believe this is called like the blade, or saddle back blade type of can opener. It was designed, I think, to be shoved into the can and then working against the springs, open from the inside out, come up. One of those type. It's super sharp. It's actually as sharp as a blade, and so I'll be using it as a blade to score, detail, things like that. I seriously doubt I'll try to open any cans with this. First of all, it looks like a very dangerous design. Obviously, this is just an homage to in the old design. Some knife company, I'm trying to think of them, who made Cutmaster. What'll come to me, they seem to have used this style quite a bit. Made the Girl Scout knives. So that's the can opener, and then punch, or the awl. And this is where I get the blade rub, I think. There's really no way to get this without like pushing it against the main blade when you pull it open. But again, really nicely polished. It's got a super sharp edge and a very sharp tip. So that's a punch or an awl that will actually cut a hole, drill a hole, or scrape something. And again, all these tools are stamped Schatt and Morgan. And there's one other little piece of bling about this knife that I want to show off, and I just found it the other day and I was like, wow. So hang on here a minute. I don't know if you can, well, let's get them all open. Let's use something here so I don't cut my finger. How about that? I don't know if you can see this or not, but down inside there, the brass liners, they're scrolled. They got a decorative scrolling on them. That is so cool. I was like, wow, that is really a neat little attention to detail. And all the edges have been smoothed. That's just really great workmanship. So yeah, I wanted a camp knife that I could carry occasionally and have something kind of American made and high quality that I'd be proud of to have in my pocket. That's not a really easy task anymore. There are not very many American companies that are making camp knives. Case, I don't believe it's currently making one, but they made like a Junior Scout for a while recently. But it's a small knife. It's only 2 3/4 inches closed, I think. And I wanted, this full size 3 5/8, just like all your other camp knives. GEC doesn't make one. They did make a Texas camp knife, which was the same size as this Remington bullet camp knife, but that can't be called a pocket knife. I mean, that's a folding knife. That's not a pocket knife. So yeah, most of them seem to be made in China, and some of them are very good. I know Rough Rider makes one that has bone handles and stainless steel, and it's a super value for the price. But I wanted something a little more upscale than that, and maybe with a little better steel. By the way, this steel, I understand, is 420 HC, so 420 high carbon, and it's hardened to Rockwell 58. So it's very much like the steel they put on buck knives. It should be just fine. I guess that's a little bit of a step up from maybe the 440A that is used on a lot of the Chinese knives, or the Victorinox steel, or the Sullivan steel that is on some of the Boker knives. Yeah, so I just wanted to show that off. That's new to me, and I'm really excited to have it. That's just going to be a user. Believe it or not, that's not going to be a shelf queen. I mean, I'm not going to abuse it, but that's one I want to actually be able to pull out of my pocket and do things with. So appreciate you watching, and have fun collecting.